Hi. Today I'm going to talk about the QRI, which is a quantitative reading inventory that we use quite a bit here at U32 Middle and High School. We mainly use it to help identify reading groups for students and place them in those groups. It also can be used to comprehensive evaluation to find adverse effect if you're looking for some basic reading skills information on your student. So today I'm going to talk about how to use the QRI. First of all, there's certain materials you'll need to have, a calculator, a timer, and a pencil to do your marking. The other important parts are you need your QRI book, but you need some components in it, including a subject word list, which the students will be reading, and then also the examiner word list and all the passages which are inside the book. You need to make a bunch of copies. So with the subject word list, the students will have their own copy, and they'll read along, and you're going to be scoring it using the examiner word list. When you're using the examiner word list, you're going to use your pencil and follow along with the student as they read out loud. And you would mark a 1 if the student identified the word automatically. If the student identified the word but had to decode it, you would put a 1 in the second column where it says identified. And if they don't get it at all, you just leave it blank or put a 0 in. As soon as the student starts struggling and misses more than 2 words in any column, it's important that you start to move on to the passages. You don't want the student to get too frustrated, so move on at that point once they miss 2 out of the 20 words in that grade level. When a student knows the expectations, you should kind of run through them with them, that you're going to be timing them, which some kids get a little stressed about, but you want them to read at a really comfortable rate where they can understand what they read and their comprehension's strong. And you want to be able to hear them and write notes as they're decoding the passages. So it's really important when they first get started to time the student right when they get started. You don't want to miss that opportunity to get a fluency score. It's really quite telling how fast the student is reading. And when they're reading the passage, it's also really important to take notes. I write the notes right on the passage as I follow along. If they miss a word completely, I'll cross it out. If they get it right after a couple tries, I usually cross it out but put a C over it to let me know that they corrected it. If they repeat a line, I put an arrow all the way back. But the most important part is that you have a plan with your team of teachers that you're working with, and everybody consistently marks up the QRIs so that you're comparing apples to apples, basically. So it's really important that you have a consistent plan for writing in the errors and the miscues. So again, you're going to time your student, make some notes, and at the very end you're going to have to ask some comprehension questions. And it's also good to take notes on what their answers are in case you're not sure about an answer, if it's not terribly clear, and you can look back on what they wrote, what you wrote as an answer. And then the last part is to actually grade the QRI and make some suggestions from that information. So you should be able to calculate a fluency score, and the numbers are all in there. You just have to turn your minutes into seconds and do a little calculating with your trusty calculator, and then move on from that one and do the comprehension. There's usually 8 to 10 questions, and give a grade. It'll either be in the frustration range, the independent range, or instructional range. And the last component is the decoding, and it also give you some numbers to choose from. If they get 1 to 7 wrong, they would be independent, possibly, or instructional, or if they're also in that range where they're really struggling, that frustration level. So those are the levels you'll find out. And then when you get all that information together, you can decide if you're going to do another passage or if you're going to just stay put and say you're reading at that grade level. Over time it gets easier. So if you have a plan and you attack it, good luck.